Proof. Climate lingo says nada, therefore ineffectual. Hello. If you've watched the other two videos, I started presenting the case for this particular article I'm going to go through. I'm not going to read the article, but the point of the article is, if you don't realize this, that there are words that people who are pushing this climate crisis thing need to hear. And I thought it was very amusing that what Biden said and did today, the language, it basically is saying absolutely nothing. It just has words that sound really good, sound like it's going to really help something. The words that we want to hear, there's some like key words that we want to hear, and words that the people who are for or believe in climate change want to hear as well. Okay, President Joe Biden signed a series of new executive orders Wednesday. He signed a ton of them. In fact, he's signing more than any president that ever has been. He's undone everything Trump has done, and he's signing all these new ones. And of course, he's eliminating the COVID thing has eliminated more jobs than we can imagine, jobs that will never come back because there's no reason. First of all, there's going to be too many regulations. And when you have a government that can shut everything down at the drop of a hat and put you in the poorhouse, and they say they're saving lives when they're actually killing lives. Children are killing themselves. They're committing very young children can't take this. I think you must add up the cost of the life and also the mortality rate of people in nursing homes who didn't even get COVID, who are dying of loneliness, let alone the governors who put COVID patients into nursing homes and ended up killing large amounts of them. People who would have voted for the past administration, people who've been to war, people who know what fascism is and communism is and voted against it to keep the world free. Every communist, fascistic, all these socialist governments, they get rid of the elderly because the elderly have wisdom. They know history. You have to get rid of them. You got rid of them because they will also vote for the party you don't want them or the person you don't want them to vote for. And you must keep propagating the lies. But then again, when you get them in these nursing homes, and then they turn on the televisions and they hear the MSM spouting lies, and you're there, and then you don't get, they're isolated. They're not getting visitors to tell them the truth. The only thing they're hearing, the only friend they have is the mainstream media, which is wholly owned by these corporations who want globalism. They want power. They want more power. They want more land. They want less people. They've got all the money in the world, and they don't want to end up like you because they are decreasing the world, because you have to do that. You have to decrease the population of the world because we're using up the resources. We have the land you don't want. We're creating pollution. It's because of us. It's because of all of us. So reorganizing the world, resetting the economy. And then they have their pick. Interesting that you see all these businesses are going out of business. People are moving out of New York City, all these places, California. And what's happening is the property rates are dropping. Just like they did the last time when they gave loans to people who couldn't pay them back to buy houses. And then they bailed out Wall Street. And what happened was the real estate was so cheap that all these Democrats, all these politicians that are bleeding heart like Elizabeth Warren. Her and her husband bought tons and tons of houses that they kicked poor families out of. And they're up there saying that they care about you. Same thing's happening now. This is great because people are dying, people are committing suicide, people are losing their jobs, they can't afford to live there, they're moving out, and then the rich people come in and they buy up all the land, all the property. So what happens is their empire, they have an empire now, keeps expanding, and they bought it really cheap. Those that have got shall get, those who've not shall lose. So the Bible says, and it still is true, Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child who's got his own, who's got his own. Billie Holiday, beautiful. Anyway, let's get into, because everything that's happening is all connected. Okay, all connected. Okay, he signed more. He'll sign anything you stick in front of him. Did you see that clip where they stuck the thing, they put it right in front of him to sign, and he said, "What am I signing?" He didn't understand the words, and Kamala said, "Just sign it. Just sign it." He's perfect. The reason why they put someone who can't stop saying racist things, who was the designer of the 1994 crime bill, which put all these more African Americans and minorities in prison, who said, well, you must put them in jail because they're turning the neighborhoods into jungles, which is very racist, which are 3 strikes and you're out. Doesn't matter what you did. If you do it 3 times, you're out, you're in jail forever. And the wife of the president at the time in 1994, she said that they were super predators, speaking of African Americans, who must be brought to heal, not healing as in touch the hem of his garment and I know I will be whole, but healing as in a master and this is the party that you voted for. This is the party that ran all the polls. This is the party that kept the watchers out. The watchers of the opposing party out, boarded up the windows, kept them far away from the counting, and also had the blessed idea of sending out 100 million unsolicited ballots to be dropped off in bins. Just bins that they reorganized. Even Zuckerberg bought a bunch of bins all over, and they kind of moved them around the city. And nobody knows who signed these or filled these out because they take it and they throw away the envelope, and there's no checking to see if you're even enrolled or registered or a citizen. You can't check it at all. But that's the perk. That's the perk. But that's the way it was done. And the legislature is supposed to change the law. That's what it says in the Constitution. But the Constitution, as we know, doesn't matter anymore. We have no free speech. We're censored. We're afraid they're going to take everything away from us. We are afraid. The Constitution means nothing. You have to make it mean nothing because it says that we have a right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We are all created equal. We have the right to free speech. We have the right to freely and peaceably assemble, not riot. Freely and peaceably assemble. We have the right to protest, not riot. Protests and riots are 2 different things. What we saw this summer is were riots. We saw Americans getting beaten up and being killed. Who cares about those people? We saw Black businesses being torched and vandalized. We saw there was an African American man who saved his life to build his own bar, and he kept putting more and more into it. And then the riot, after COVID shut it down, and the riots destroyed it. And then he put a gun to his head and blew his brains out. African American. But see, nobody cares about that, or Frederick Douglass, slave who freed himself, helped free other slaves. He worked because he worked with the President of the United States to free the rest of the slaves. He was an American. He knew what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights said. Those things stand. Those are our rights. And he believed in that. But the people who did the riots don't like that because it's not Marxism. This is about Marxism and destroying America. That's why they do not like minorities or African Americans who are pro-capitalism, who are pro-America. Cubans are not Hispanic anymore because they vote Republican. They vote Republican because they know that the other party is in bed with communism, is in bed with Castro, loves Castro, who, if you were against Castro, they line you up on the seashore and they kill you by firing squad. They also put all the African Cubans, the black, there's a line right down the middle, black and white. They put them in, they're all in jail. They're all in jail. Those are the socks that Kaepernick wore, and then he wore it was a Che Guevara t-shirt. The handsome man, the man who was a freedom fighter. No, he hated homosexuals. He killed them all, said Castro, and he also hated black people. And that's who Colin Kaepernick, who's half white, maybe it's the half white part that's wrong. Maybe that's the part that's messing him up. And that's what Nike listens to. That's who Nike listens to. Does he even know that's what you're listening to? See, this is the reason why I'm shadow banned, because I'm telling you the flat truth. And I'm sick of it. Okay, so what you do is you've got all these Democrats who would never be voted into office. Nobody liked them. They still don't know who won Iowa because they don't want you to know who won Iowa. Because it means the entire Democrat Party, left-wing Socialist Party squad, whatever idea, it's great because whatever crazy idea any of them have, whatever hatred they want to inflict, an imprisonment because we're privileged, we live in America, we're white, or we're black and we are Republican. You must control these people. And whatever idea they have, all of them are president. Do you understand? This is what this is. The man clearly is a little too old and doesn't know what he's reading. And he's saying a lot of things like by the end of the summer, we're going to have enough vaccinations to vaccinate 300 Americans. That's great. That's not the only thing he says. He says racist things all day long. Well, what they do is they can write any bit of nonsense, put it in front of him, and he'll sign it because he'll not question it. Because he is, my friend said he doesn't have dementia. He's just a sweet old man who we saw in front of the camera with little girls talking through their hair, touching them, groping them. Their fathers and grandfathers were pulling them away. As a little girl, that little girl that's inside of me, who knows what this feels like, and guys whispering through your hair and your ear. It goes through you in a way. There's a sick, it's so sick that it just goes right into your heart. And it just tears you apart. You'd rather be hit than be sexually, as bad as hitting is, at a point you would get numb to it. Believe me, that sexual is, you'd rather be hit. But this is the man who made his family wealthy, who is not going to put any regulations on China, who's the one who's putting all the plastics in the ocean, the poisons from runoff from the factories in the water, and one carbon-fired or coal-fired power plant up, one every 5 to 6 days. This is the country who owns this world, that is buying this world and is buying my beautiful Italy. And the wine country in America, and our food, the heartland of America that's being destroyed. They're buying it up, which they're going to change everything to they're getting rid of the electoral process, which means these people that make our food, well, it's going to be all China now, won't have a say, because the people at the edge of the country who are coming or will be coming in, moving in, amnesty immediately, they're going to be voting. They're going to have the say and keep that one-party system in. Of course, this is another video that I am not getting to the essence of what I'm making this video for, because there's so much to say and I'm so tired of being censored. I'm so tired of being shadow banned because nobody freaking can hear me. And if you heard me 4 years ago, you would have heard so much. You would have said, you went as a conspiracy theorist. If you listened to me, you'd say, oh my God, everything she said is happening now. Okay, President Biden set ambitious goals that will ensure America and the world can meet urgent demands of the climate crisis while empowering American workers and businesses to lead a clean energy revolution that achieves a carbon pollution-free power sector by 2035 and puts the United States on an irreversible path to net zero. Okay, just take this one paragraph alone. Gods, that sounds really good. Who would be against that? Okay, net zero economy by 2050. The official release from the White House reads. Okay, let's go through this. Extremely positive. He's setting ambitious goals, a man who has dementia, to ensure, that means we can count on that. This is going to happen. America, use the word America. Oh, it's not China, it's America. We'll steer America. And we are insured. You see these positive words? America and the world can meet urgent demands because we're desperate. The world is desperate. Oh, the world is going to end in 10 years now, or is it 8 years? It keeps going down. Of the climate crisis. It used to be warming, then it was change, and now it's crisis. I don't know what the hell it is. It's probably a pole shift, which happens 100,000 years, which you can't change. While empowering American workers. That's great because they're for American workers. They're going to empower us. They're going to make us stronger. And they're not just empowering any workers, they're going to empower American workers. And we're also going to help the world. By what? What is this even saying? How is he going to do this? These are words. Remember how we used to say that politicians said nothing? Politicians will say anything to get into office. And there are certain words that they say that sound really good. And it's the one that looks good on camera, that says the right words, that presents it the right way, but really says nothing. Because when they get into office, they make up jobs for their supporters, the ones that give them the most money. And then they have a pension. They will have a pension after 10 years of 75 to 80% of their pay. And then they can go on to get another job in government. And then they can call themselves an expert because they've already worked. And then they get full pay and their pension. And then they go on to retire and get another one and keep going on and on. And government gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And our taxes go up and up and up. And the only people that get helped are the politicians who do nothing and the people who gave them money, who had money to begin with, not the poor people. Okay. So you're a crisis. This is happening. It's urgent. It's a crisis. Okay, empowering Americans. That's good. We get to be empowered. How? Empowering American workers. They care about oh God, it's the Democrat Party. They always care about the workers, don't they? That's why he just eliminated 77,000 jobs. He's eliminating fracking. All our power and our energy is going to go up. We won't be able to afford real estate taxes or rent and heat our homes. And we'll be dependent on foreign oil, which means more war in the Middle East. And the Middle East will control our energy, which means many of us are going to die of sickness because we are 1 billion people a year before COVID died of the flu. Did you know that? Or get the flu. 1 billion people. We never hear that. We're not going to hear that anymore. We're not going to hear that anymore. I think it's 2 billion people got COVID around the world. 1 billion people a year. And that doesn't include the cold, which also kills people. But we don't hear those stats anymore. Those stats stopped in April this year, by the way. Okay, empowering American workers. We'll take this one paragraph. Well, empowering American workers. How? We're losing jobs right and left. What jobs? Making solar panels, they're made in China. They get the stuff to make the panels. They lower little children into the earth. They get 25 cents a month. I'm not kidding. Slave labor. They have slave labor in China. They lower them into the earth to get this stuff. They're sterilizing Muslims in China. They hate the Muslims. They're sterilizing the Muslim women. And they're harvesting the organs of Uyghur Muslims, by the way, because there's some people who want halal organs, because people who haven't eaten the wrong forbidden food. So they do not like, so you Democrats who love Muslims, why aren't you speaking out about the Uyghurs? If you care about this climate crisis and you care about slavery, it's 43 million slaves in the world as of 7 years ago, or is it 10 years ago now? There's more now. Slavery, I'm very confused. And these are people who are not white and not Christian, which you don't care about the whites or the Christians, just throw them off the cliff. Why don't you care about what's happening in China and how people are treated as drones? Why don't you care? Okay, and businesses, American workers and businesses, though you're putting back the regulations and increasing the taxes, the regulations that made the American businesses leave this country, the taxes that made businesses lay off workers, the taxes that the last administration got rid of the regulations, got rid of the taxes. They were able to employ more people, raise their wages, and give them bonuses and bring back all, because the regulations are gone and the taxes are lower, went out to these countries and brought these businesses back. How did he do it? No, it wasn't Barack Obama. He said that poverty was the new normal. Bullshit. Okay. And he went, before he even was sworn in as president, to all these businesses about to leave and said, we're going to get rid of regulations, we're going to lower taxes, stay in America. That's how he did it. It wasn't, did I know about economics? People I know, Democrats, I know about economics. You don't know about how economics. Really? Then how can the person, the administration said that this is the new normal? It was just a fluke that we got prosperous. We're supposed to be poor. And to Trump, how are you going to bring these businesses back? How are you going to do it? I don't know how you're going to do it. And somehow it's him, it's that genius and the dementia guy behind him who's getting all his money from China, and I'm sure you are too. These are the people who are responsible for the uptick and the economy, the greatest economy the world has ever seen, more minorities, more black people and women employed in the history of the world. Okay,